Hello. Welcome to another episode of Soulversations. My guest today is my friend, my sis, my mentor, my ex-boss, girl. She's the original girl boss, Dr. Ruth T. Logan. Welcome.
Hi, sweetie. Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. So we got a lot to talk about, girl. We got some catching up to do. Y'all sit back and relax. This is a real Soulversation treat today. Ruth, Ruth, I call her Ruth. You guys got to call her Dr. Logan because she earned that right. Okay. But I'm going to be professional today. Dr. Logan, please tell our viewers about yourself.
Ooh, where do I begin? Okay, I'm not going to try to take up too much time. I want to say thank you to Mka. Yes, my sister, my friend. We've had a lot of years of good times together, and I thank you. I'm so proud of you of what you're doing. And I know it's going to be phenomenal in the days, weeks, and years to come. It's a great thing. So I'm Ruth Logan. She said Dr. Ruth Logan. I will tell a quick story. I'm originally from West Africa, Liberia, born with Sudanese heritage, my father's side. I came to the United States at the tender age of 4, and I came to Washington, D.C., where I started school. So I have a very special love for the District of Columbia because I did my kindergarten, first and second grade here at Ross Elementary School in Northwest D.C. I then went to and lived in Annapolis, where I went to middle school. Well, I'm sorry, at that time was junior high. I'm telling my age now. Junior high. Left there, went to high school in Detroit, left Detroit, went to undergraduate at St. Augustine's in North Carolina. Yay to my HBCU, where I love. Yes. Where I became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And and then went into teaching. I've had my school for 17 years, but in the teaching field, I taught about a good 10 years or so before I actually went into administration and started doing some other things. And have been a principal, have been a program director, and have a liaison, just different roles in the education field. I taught in Baltimore through Teach for America. And then after that, decided I wanted to go back to school. I went to University of Maryland, Baltimore, where I got my master's in pharmacology and experimental therapeutics. And then decided I want to go back into teaching. Got into special education. At that time, I taught at a small special education school called the Lodge School. There's a big story and history behind that. And I'll just give you one list called the book, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. So it was that campus on which I worked as a science teacher some years ago. Did that and worked at a school where Tamika and I, years ago, where this friendship and sisterhood from the beginning, literally almost from like day one, we just clicked. So we just clicked, period. That's really the truth. And we've been, together and friends, even though she's on the other side. We still care for each other, dearly love each other. We have this sisterhood that will never change. So went to, that school and became principal. Then I decided I wanted to open my own school, which the Monroe School, located in Northeast DC. And guess who came along with me and was like, shucks, yes, I'm coming. Her and her beautiful sister, Keisha, they were like, forget this job, we coming with you. And literally, it sounds crazy, but it was literally the 3 of us. So now I always say our school, and she know I've always said our school, because I couldn't have done it without Tamika, and I couldn't have done it without Keisha. And the 3 of us literally brought my dream that I had started to put on a piece of paper while I was at the other school to reality.
Okay, I want you to pause right there, and before I let you finish, and this is so rude of me because I'm a bad host right now, but I'm going to say this for anybody who knows the power of writing down your vision, your dream. And literally, when she says on a little piece of paper, we was in her office at the mutual school that we worked at. I was her assistant. She was the principal. And she was like, you know what? I needed to just start my own school. And she wrote it down on a paper. And she just started writing things about what her school would do. And then within a year, within a year, probably what, 6 months from the date of that note,
Yep.
she called me and was like, hey, I'm opening my school. And it literally came from just writing it down on a piece of paper. And when they tell you, write the vision, make it plain, y'all, I'm telling you,
Yep.
God, when you write it down and you believe that it can happen, God will open up every single door and make sure you get what you say you want. Continue.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect timing. I'm glad that you jumped in and said that, because that's where I was going. It's like I just wrote it down. We were talking. And actually, when I did it, Tamika was like, heck yeah, girl, you need to, and she's always been like, she's one of the greatest cheerleaders. I'm like, Tamika would cheer for you on and on. So she was like, heck yeah, you could do this, you could do that, and da, da, da. And so yes, we could do. So she was the support from the beginning. And like she said, I wrote it down. And literally within 6 months to a year, the school was formed. And I think Tamika may have came on maybe a month or so later. And from there, here it is 17 years later, which was day before yesterday, on the 22nd, we celebrated our 17th year in the district. It's been a long, hard 17 years, but it's also been a rewarding, a fulfilling, and a blessing 17 years. And everything we've gone through in the 17 years was for a purpose and a reason. And I just want to say this really quick, because Tamika brought up something we were discussing in my school. We were having a conversation one day, and I was telling her about my old school that I worked at, the large school that I just told you about. And we were talking about the school we're in now. And Tamika said to me, I don't know if you remember this conversation we had, Tamika, you said, God placed you in both of those schools because you needed to know how you wanted your school to be and how you wanted your school not to be. And that's exactly how different those two schools were. And that's exactly what she said. You were placed in one to know how it should be, and you're placed in the other one to know how it shouldn't be. And I truly believe that, when you said that. And this Monroe turned out to be the perfect combination of the two, but just good enough to make sure that the students' needs are being met and things to that nature. So I'm just grateful to have had, I have had these 17 years and hope to have 17 more, or move on to the greater things that will continue to support the community and the young adults that we serve moving forward. Oh, and then also I left out, as I was saying, I opened Monroe School. And then in 2013, I said, you know what, I'm going back to school, because from day one, I said I was going to be a doctor. That was literally my plan. And I had this cute little postcard my girlfriends gave me from high school. You know what I'm talking about, Tamika, that had the lion and the tiger, and it says, we owe it all to Dr. Ruth. So they helped put that in the universe for me. And my cousin made me this cake when I was leaving to go away to teach for America, and it says, congratulations, Dr. Ruth. So when you say people are putting those things and they put it into the universe for you. And so I said, I'm going back to school. And my biggest cheerleader were my kids, especially my daughter. She was like, oh my God, I'm so proud. You've been saying you was going to go back for so many years. You're finally going back. And I went back, and then I got my doctorate, my PhD in educational leadership. So that's my journey.
Because that's what you are. I remember when you would always say, they keep calling me doctor. And then I started just to say, Dr. Logan, Dr. Logan, Dr. Logan. And here you are. You've earned it. You are the epitome of education leadership, and you have the title and the accolades to go with it. And 17 years, 17 years of a school in the community for our children, specifically for our children with special needs, specifically, that is, and you're on the campus of.
Yes, Nanny Helen Burrow, Dr. Nanny Helen Burrow. It is so historic. And I'm going to tell another story, that how you profess things. And you're going to remember this, Tamika. When we started the school, we were in the dormitory. The building is actually behind the building I'm sitting in now. And it was the dormitory where they lived. And of course, we put a lot of money in it. We made it very nice and all. But one day I was looking out of the window, and I said that we're going to be in that building one day. Tamika, remember. And my son was actually at the school here at that time. And I said, we're going to be in that building one day. I just said it. And lo and behold, we're in this building. We've been here now, I think on our second lease for like maybe over 10, 15 years. Actually, we've been here 17 years. We only left one. So 16 years on this campus we have been. And it's just been a blessing. And Nanny Helen Burrow, I feel, is one of our angels that's watching over us and protecting us. And it's interesting because I'm one of those people who are usually here late. And they always say, go home, you stay here too late. Literally, the walls are cracking and you hear things, and I don't get scared. It's odd, and I really don't. I just say, oh, thank you, Dr. Nanny, and I keep working. I literally just keep.
And if anybody wants to visit, it's a museum dedicated to Dr. Nanny Helen Burroughs in the school.
Yep.
And if you don't know who Dr. Nanny Helen Burroughs is, please do the research. Look her up. Google her. She started a school for Black girls, right?
Yes, girls in 1909.
In the 1800s.
1809. I'm sorry, 1809, right?
So in the 1800s. So Black women have been doing it forever. And you're following in some amazing shoes, and you're still doing it. The fact that you're on this historical site, you're on a historical landmark. Like, okay, I didn't probably want to bring this up just yet, but basically where we're at right now with the 17 years is that the 17 years could be in real serious financial jeopardy.
Yes.
And I believe that it's very political. I believe that somebody wants that land. I believe somebody wants that building. I believe, DC, if anybody knows, in the last 10 years, it's been highly gentrified. It's very few of us still there, or very few of us that can afford to still be there. And to be one of 3 schools, right?
3, but one of only 2 schools that are owned by African Americans. Yes, they cater to students, population with special needs, or the other school which cater to kids who are adjudicated youth or who have had trouble with the law, and making a difference as well with them. That's my brother in education, and we talk and we encourage one another because it's been difficult times for, the both of us.
Right.
One time, as you know, DC had a lot of non-public schools like mine that service students, and it was beneficial to the parents, and they fought to pretty much have these schools because their kids were being transported into Virginia and Maryland, and they were on buses for like hours, and they were tired, and parents was like, no, I want my kid to go to school in DC. I want them to be in a school that if something happens, I can get to them. I can get to my school, to my child's school. I can be able to support the school because it's right here in my community. So it really has a lot. Yeah.
Let me just say this for anybody who's not aware of what she's basically saying, is that if you have a child with a special learning style or special learning need, okay, mostly they want to mainstream your kid, okay, where they're going to be in a classroom with kids who don't have the same disability, who's overpopulated, in an overpopulated classroom setting. Basically, they're going to get shuffled through because of the No Child Left Behind Act, right? So most parents fight to get their kids in learning environments like Dr. Logan's school so that they can have 6-to-1 class ratio size, so that they can have an opportunity to catch up on all the things they missed in primary education, so that they can be successful. Tell us about how successful your children have been in this last 17 years.
Very, very successful. And the interesting part that you bring up to me is that though we do have a small population, because legally, you can't have a full special education school in the district. That's just law. I mean, there's one, and there's another whole story behind that one, but you can have a certain percentage of special education students, and then you have schools that may be, say, 80% special and then 20 or 90 or whatever. And which our school has always been, we've had a small population of students who are not special ed, but the majority of our population of students were special education students. So, and these students that we got, they happened to come to us after they had been unsuccessful for years. Most of our students had been through the public school system, the charter school system, 2, 3, 4 years failing and not doing well. And then they're placed in our school, or the parent, calls and they have a scholarship or something, and they come to our school. They're in a smaller school setting, so they have less distraction, more one-on-one attention with the teacher. Now, we don't waver. We do everything DC's requires. So basically, they're getting the same graduation requirements at the DC public school because we're held by that when we have our COA. So they're getting everything they're supposed to as DC recommends, not necessarily as a charter, because there's two, DC public and DC charter have sort of different rules and regulations because charter schools are their own LEA. But we're held by, if you have a COA, which is one of the issues we'll talk about in a minute that I'm trying to gain back, you are held by the standards and the regulations of the District of Columbia Public School. So we have to follow those rules. That means our students have to have 24 credits of graduation to graduate. That means they have to have 100 community service hours to graduate. That means they have to have 4 years of math, 4 years of science, and so on and so forth. And what we've done is we've been able to have a college prep program where we have students with special needs, but we modify and make things go on the level that it needs to be on, modifications so that they're able to do the work and things. And what we can proudly say is one thing is that we do have 100% college acceptance. Every one of our students that applies to college gets in. Maybe about 80%, 85% of them go to college. And the task that we have with every school is the retention, which I would love to do some work in that area because our average retention right now is about 2 years. And then you have a host of other things that come into play where family and situation, and it becomes finances, whatever. Finance is usually the biggest reason why our kids, they return home or they, or they go somewhere else. They decide we're gonna come home and do community service for a while. But that can also be detrimental because we've had tragedies that's happened to kids after they've come home. But you never know what the journey is supposed to be for them. But the biggest thing is that we do focus on getting our kids in college. We've also now started to focus big on trade and vocational because we know that students, not everybody wants to go to college. Exactly. And not everybody's college ready or so on and so forth. So we do have different organizations we work with who prepare our students to make sure that they have a trade or they have a vocational something that they're interested in, or if they decide they want to go to the military, we'll assist them in doing that piece as well. And we've been successful. Our students have been very successful. They're doing very well, most of them.
And what I love about the Monroe School, and I was happy to be a part of this part of organizing and planning, we used to take the kids on yearly college tours. When you got to our school, you hear how I say our school. When you got to our school,
it will always be our school.
Yes, when you got to our school, literally those kids would come in. I was the admissions coordinator, so I was the first contact. I had to sell the school to the parent, to the student, to the person who said they weren't coming. I'm not coming to another school. Like for what? I'm not going to get anything out of it. But we would open their eyes from that first meeting all the way up until going to Atlanta, going to North Carolina, going to all of these states with all these historically HBCUs. And our kids not only would go and thrive and just see what was possible for their futures, they would actually go and attend, So that is a beautiful thing. And okay, they didn't even have to pay for it.
Nope.
They didn't have to pay for it. So not only do you educate these kids who everybody has said, yeah, y'all can take them if they want to. They will come to us with a folder or file, huge stack, with all these reasons why they're not going to be successful here. And we would look at it and not look at it because we're not worried about what you used to be. We were only worried about the student that we had in front of us and how the Monroe School was going to benefit this family. So with all that being said, what's the journey been like for you? Like I said in my introduction, you are the first girl boss. You are the epitome to me of girl boss. You have been an employer for over 17 years. Okay. How has that journey been for you as a mother, as a wife at one point, and taken away from not only your family to give to your big family, how has being this entrepreneur been for you for these last 17 years?
Oh my God, it's been a journey. As I said, it's been a journey up and down, mostly good. Definitely have to say there have been a whole lot more good than other. It's been an eye opener. There's been some challenging times, but most importantly, it's been rewarding. One thing that I can say, and you I know, Dr. Moss, as you talked about the college tours, that was one of our biggest things because we were one of the few. The old school we were at, we were the first college tour that ever took place. Remember, we planned that, we organized it and took the kids out on a college tour. So that was big for us. Being a part of molding someone's future, you know, making a difference, being someone who is given an opportunity to provide a livelihood for people has been rewarding, challenging, scary, because people look to you, you know, and I'm one of those people, and Tamika, I don't like to let people down.
We'll take out of her own pocket.
I truly don't like, because that's my pet. I don't like to be let down. So I don't like to let people down. So being, as you say, a boss or an employer, I did everything I possibly could in my power to make sure that the school continued to go. I have staff here who have been here for years and who just love it and will fight and do whatever they need to do. They go out and recruit folks. You know, you were there, you did the same thing. You all were your cheerleaders because it's our school. It's always our school. I could never have had the Monroe School without the people who helped me build it up and who helped me make it. So it will never be my school. It will always be our school because the staff helped. But it's been a journey, you know, having a family and feeling like this larger family was important as well. Trying not to neglect my children. And of course, like you said, one time, my husband and things that were in family who I take care of. You know, I have a lot of family in Liberia that rely on me.
Yes.
So, and I do my best because, you know, their opportunities are not as great as mine or others. So I made it my business to make sure that I could do the best I could. But in saying all that, this is the reason why it's so important that people know that we're not just another school. You know, we're making a difference. We really are making a difference. And I think a lot of times what happens is, and at no fault of theirs, because that's their role, you know, entities like OSSE, Office of State Superintendent of Education, who's responsible for giving us our certificate of approval, their job is to make sure you're following the regulations and make sure you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. They don't necessarily know, they don't work like we work. We service the whole child. So we're not just looking at the academic piece. We're looking at, do they have food? We're looking at if a parent needs a job, they're calling us. We're looking at the mental health issues that they may be having, and my counselors are providing them resources in the community that they can get outside. So it's the whole child that we're working with, and not necessarily just the academic piece.
That's
because
family.
the family, they can't be successful if the family is not together and not working and not functioning, you know. So and that comes to the point where sometimes I said it has been hard for me to cut the apron strings when, you know, I have kids at college and they're saying, you know, I need to wash clothes, or I need to do this and that. And I'm asking staff or I myself, like you said, I'm taking it out of my pocket because I want them to be successful. Not because I want somebody to say, hey, yeah, pat me on the back, but because I know how it was when I went to college. My dad was always in my life. I was my father, but he was in Africa. My mom was here as a single parent. And so I was a single parent child, first generation college attendance in the US. So I do all I can. We do all I can to make sure that the students have what they need. I do my best to see that my staff have what they need, and that they're able to do the best job they can do. And then all of that is rewarding. It makes you feel good. You know, one of my favorite sayings, outside of being the change you want to see in the world, you know, to me, one of my favorite sayings is that the greatest gift in life is the ability to give. And that's so true. The ability to be able, it brings a smile to you. Not, you know, and you give because you want to help, not because you expect something, you know. And if you're giving because you expect something, then you shouldn't be giving, because that's not what, you know, the purpose of giving is supposed to be.
Let's talk about those kids that still are in your life from way back when. Let's talk about how impactful the Monroe School has been to the community in that manner. Because I know I still get some calls.
Oh yeah.
So I know you're still getting calls.
And I still get calls from my auntie Tamika. We get calls at the school for you still. So it's interesting you say that, because just day before yesterday, I spoke with the student. I won't say her name, but I say, you know, she calls me Nunu. So you know who. And that's our thing. She said, hey, Nunu. I'll be like, hey, Nunu. She is now in her 30s. She has a son that's older. She had twins that are now 2 years old. Yes, in a loving, committed relationship, married and doing well. Calls me often. to check on me. I call her often. About a month ago, I attended a baby shower for a student who I didn't even know was married, let alone pregnant. And she just hopped in my text message and was like, "Hey Doc, I'm having my baby shower. Are you available?" No, first she just said, "Are you available on this date?" And I was like, "What's going on?" She said, "I'm having a baby shower." And I was like, "Okay." She said, "Can you
Like,
save
I'm
that
there.
date?" I'm there. Save that date. So that's I have a young lady who this year I actually physically drove to college myself, to my alma mater.
Oh, that's not the first time you've done that. Come on.
Yeah, it's not. I guess this was just a little special because it was my undergrad that I drove them to, as opposed to someone else's. But it's always been HBCU, which is good. Somebody else's HBCU. So those are fulfilling. I mean, I have stories on top of stories and on top of story. We have students who graduated or who had to leave the school because they were placed somewhere else, and to this day they still come up. They still come up for resources. They come up to play basketball. They come up to ask me to help them with their resume or to help them because we've always been that school. So I still have a connection. And I'll even go back further than just Monroe students. I have a connection with a daughter that I call my other daughter from someone I taught my first year of teaching, who was in my wedding, who I was there with her when she took her daughter home. So those are the relationships that you make when you're truly invested, and it's not a job for you. It's a calling. It's my passion. It's my journey. And these children and young adults, and they're in my life, and I don't want to leave, and I don't want them to leave. I'm okay with them staying.
So Soulversation is just one of those places that I wanted to create so that we can inspire people to, one, become a teacher, become the doctor, become whatever you want to be, but also be inspired by someone's story enough to just get up and do something outside of your norm, right? And I could not wait to interview you, but I said we got to do it now because I was sent a fundraiser for the Monroe School, and I was like, what? We need money? How much do we need? Yeah, I'm going to just say this. We need lots of money, okay? And we need lots of money simply because every kid that's there is not funded right now by DCPS, where they would originally, how this thing works, okay? So for whatever reason, DC, we're not going to put them on blast like we could, but we're not going to do that because we're going to make this a positive place. What we're going to say is this. Right now, she is operating a school on a nothing budget, okay? Basically from her own pocketbook, okay? And we as a community need to come together and donate and donate and donate. So if you're listening to this, I want you to record this, send it out, share, like, but also give in any amount, any amount. Imagine if 1 million of us just gave $1. That's $1 million. Hello? And that could keep the school going for years. So until we get some of these issues resolved as to why they're picking on this little school with this little woman behind it, but that's what this conversation was mainly about. I couldn't wait to just interview you as my friend, the phenomenal woman that you are. But I also felt the need to say, hold on, we have to do this right now because there's a fundraising effort going on to keep the school alive, to keep, staff paid, to keep the college tours going, to keep all of the resources that you have for the community and for the students and for their families to continue to grow and just flourish. What do you want to say in reference to that, Dr. Logan?
Well, that all you said is true. It's fundraising has always been something we've done, but we've never done it on a magnitude in which we needed to, because we've always, been able to survive. And I just want people to understand that it's not a matter of mismanagement of money. No, it's not a matter of, oh, we blew this and that. It's a matter of enrollment was lower. It's been lower since COVID. And part of that.
Can I get you to pause right there? And when she says enrollment is low for her school, enrollment is low for everybody's school. After COVID, half the students didn't go back to school, y'all. And y'all know, look around, y'all know who they are. A lot of people just decided to keep their kids home for whatever reason. They understood the dynamics that school wasn't teaching their kid or whatever the case may be. So even a Monroe School is not immune to that in itself. But go ahead, continue.
That was perfect. That's true, because Roman was down, and on top of us not having the DC students that would generally, give us the funding that we need to carry on. We had the scholarship students, which don't pay the full tuition. When we take these scholarship students, we have to fundraise to cover the balance that we aren't getting because the scholarship doesn't cover the full tuition. And I never want to see a kid who parent put them here really because they need to be in a small setting. They need to get the one-on-one attention that they need. So it's become really challenging in making sure that we can continue because of the low enrollment. And everybody knows it's not rocket science. Low enrollment means less money. It means we have the same bills, we have the same stuff going on, we just have less in the pot to pay it out. And we've had to fundraise more, we have to ask for more. We've had to, see if we can get some loans or whatever the situation might be to keep the school going. But here it is now. We are a nonprofit 501c3 school, but the majority of those resources and supports that we got that kept us going through COVID are now leaning more towards the for-profit entities. It's not a lot out here, a whole lot for nonprofits. There are grants and things that you can apply for, but that's like, M&Ms in a basket, and you hope you be that one. It's a waiting game. So you said it all. You said truthfully, we really are on a urge, and we ask everyone who can support. You make a very good point. If even 200 people gave $100 or $1 or 2,000 people, it would make a difference. Right now we got 2,000 people to give $1, $2, whatever, that makes a difference. Nothing is too small to help, the school take care of a operational cost that we may need to take care of. It's really about getting support now that we need it more than ever. And in 17 years, we really have been blessed because this is the one time. Then that's what because you was like, huh? What do you mean? Like, and everybody's kind of like that. They're like, really? If that's what's going on? I'm like, yeah, it's been a rough 2 or 3 years, but we've been able to make it. But now it's kind of like our backs are against the wall because we're in difficult times. Folks are not giving as much as they were giving. Like you said, the grants are waiting, process, and the kids are, and it's sad, but you're telling the truth. Kids are at home. Some of them are not at school. I know a staff member who has tons of kids on another caseload for another job that he does that want to come here, but there's no funding for them to come. No funding.
And that's the thing about the Monroe School. We would get these students who didn't come with funding, and then eventually there would be no funding. And she'd be like, girl, what we going to do? We're going to have to keep them. We're going to have to keep them. And we would keep them, and we would try to fundraise and try to figure out how to make sure that staff could get paid, that lunch could be provided, because we was doing it all. Most of these children come from low income. They cannot afford tuition, private pay, And so when you think about that and you think about the economy and everything that's going on, if you look around, everybody's struggling in some way. But if we all collectively join together, we can save a school like a Monroe School. I know for me, I'm always thinking, how can I help? How can I help? And you want to help organizations and people, especially specifically people and organizations that's actually doing something great and phenomenal with the money. Here's an organization that we know for a fact what they're going to do with the money, the successes that's coming out of donating to this organization. And I want to make a plea to those people who always say, Dag, I wish I could do more, and I just don't know where to give. Here's your opportunity. Here is your opportunity to sow in good ground, to sow with a person who has a passion for what she's doing. She gets up every day. I mean, it used to be times where I would have to say, girl, please go on vacation. She doesn't even take vacations. Like, this lady right here eats, dreams, lives, breathes the Monroe School. So with all that being said, and it's been 17 years, have you taken a vacation yet, ma'am?
Well, I did. I came to a wonderful wedding celebration. That was my last. Well, I'm sorry. well, somewhat wedding celebration, past wedding. I came to that. I think that was my last. That was a while ago, but it was good. I just don't have time right now. I don't have time. And I find myself now I'm coming in earlier. I'm staying later because I'm writing grants. I'm trying to figure out how do I get in touch with this person? How do I get people who are in the district or in the area who want to contribute to a school that's in their community and they're able to contribute. So that's just my plea right now is to figure out and new opportunities for our students, new programs for our students, ways for them to be successful. Because I definitely want to get this part of it. And I hear this all the time from a young man I'm working with, and he says, you know, with all the gun violence that you have going on in the city, in DC, and here's a school that we have a small grant, and it runs for 6 weeks. And thank you, OST, out of school time, for District of Columbia. We have our students and other students, we serve 20 is the max. I mean, 20 is our minimal, but we have served almost 30. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they're here from 2:30 to 5:30, getting tutoring help, gym, they're in basketball. There's a young lady who's doing credit recovery. She's here doing her credit recovery on the computer because she didn't have a computer at home. So we have, like I said, old students who had not been in the community. I have a young man that's doing a junior arborist, horticultural with the kids. We're about to do cycling. And there's a lot of things going on great at the Monroe School, even beyond the regular school day. And I wish I could help so many more kids, but I don't have the funding. If I had the funding, it literally goes into the school. Everything I sow back into the school to make sure that we can be a success. So I would just say, as you've said, Tamika, for those individuals who say they love the district, say they love their communities, say they want to make a difference, help us continue to make a difference, because we're making a difference in the lives of these students. We're giving them a safe haven, a safe place that they can go, so they're not, you know, possibly in line of that stray bullet or whatever may be going on, but they're here in our gym or down doing some horticultural work or playing a video game with the staff member, you know, anything that's keeping them off the street. So that's the extra piece that we do.
Them safe. Lord, see, y'all, community advocate, okay? Dr. Ruth T. Logan. And you're absolutely right. When we think about all the gun violence that's going on across America, not just DC, it's beautiful to have a safe space. I mean, look, if you guys could go to the Monroe School and just walk on a campus, it's beautiful. It's green, it's lush. Again, DC is gentrified, so they put this big old building in front of it. Like, who thought that was a good idea? But the campus sits on a beautiful piece of land. It's gorgeous. And to have those kids be able to go in through those gates and come and be surrounded by love and safety, you know, safety is first. And what parent wouldn't love for that to still be a staple in their community? So again, you know, please reach out, share, like, comment, even if you don't have the money. Some of y'all birthdays are coming out. Send this out to your family and say, hey, this is my birthday gift. I want you guys to sow into this school in my name. It's so many ways you can do. You can help us build this fundraiser up and make it the success that it needs to be, so that this school remains a part of the DC landscape, and in that community, that northeast corridor of DC. How are you dealing with self-care? Because this has got to be a stressful time in your life.
Oof, that's an understatement. But you know what?
You look good.
I have really, I'm big on faith. Yeah, and you have your moments and you break down and you this and that, but I'm a big believer and I have faith. And everybody keeps telling me that something great is coming, that I'm weathering the storm now because something phenomenal is coming. And I've asked God for a miracle, and I know He doesn't disappoint. So for self-care, I pray. I talk to family and friends like you and other individuals who listen and give me great words of advice. So, and I try to stay grounded and just think positive. You know me, I always say my glass is always half full. That's so my glass is half full, and I know that we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna be wonderful. We're gonna find and then I'll get to take a vacation. That'll be my self-care.
I took the vacation, y'all. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
It sounds good though.
What would you tell little 6-year-old Ruth about her journey?
I would tell Ruth, interesting, who my mother said, I've always wanted to be a doctor, like I said, but my mother said that I would line my dolls up and play school. I would teach my dolls. She told me that a couple years ago, and it just gave me chills. I would tell 6-year-old Ruth that God has great plans for you, that he's going to put you in a position to make a difference in the lives of individuals, and that for you to weather whatever storm comes, be patient, keep your faith, believe, hold on, and know that God has got you. One of the things that I like to share to folks when I'm speaking is that, yes, I have the education. I have the education not because I wanted to make more money. I have the education because it was a goal I set for myself in life, that I was going to be a doctor. But I learned from my sister, my older sister, who had an opportunity to be with my grandmother, because she was in Liberia a lot longer than I was. And I was here and didn't really get a chance to spend time with my mother's mother. And she said that my grandmother, who was considered a village woman, she wasn't educated, she said that my grandmother said to her that when she comes back in her next life, she wants to come back as an educated woman. And so when I got my doctorate, not only did I get it for my mother and my father, I said, this is my grandmother reincarnated. I did this doctorate for my grandmother, and now she's an educated woman. Yeah. So Nichina, this is for you. And I thank you.
That was beautiful and powerful. That was beautiful and powerful. And I am proud to say that you have taught me so much about Mother Africa, just by being your friend, just by, being in your space and in your family. And you have made your grandmother, your grandmother's grandmother, everybody from your lineage, all of your ancestors, so proud. So proud. And not only them, but you made me proud to witness it, front row. Yes, when I got with you, you had already had the master's and you had already been a successful teacher, now an administrator, but to have watched your journey from your office on that little piece of paper where you said, and I was, I was your wingman and telling you, yeah, this is what we want to do. And, it was like, it was a wee thing on paper. Yeah. And you have been an inspiration, my sis. It was weird that we would have this boss-sis relationship.
Right. It worked so well.
Hey, we need to talk. Now this is employer to employee right now. I'm like, all right, what you need me to change, girl? But you saw something in me, and I'm gonna just say this, and this is going to make me a little bit emotional. Girl.
Oh, I know. Stop it, because I'm a crybaby too. Me too, crybabies.
I was trying to leave her and go get another job because I needed more money for my family. And I did. I may have gotten a job, but my son passed. And she said, girl, how much you trying to make? And she said, I'm gonna go talk to them. What we gonna give you? What you want? I want you to stay here and be my assistant. Because you can do what you're trying to do elsewhere. You can do it right here. She just saw everything in me and she fought for me. But then when my son died, and she came to my aunt's house with her check for her personal account to help me bury my baby. Girl, it's nothing I won't do for you. It's nothing. So when I say this woman right here has a true heart for every life that she touches, and you're sowing into the best ground ever. And I hate that I'm crying right now.
You're making me cry. But they're tears of joy in the wonderful years.
But I will never forget that. I will never forget how you just was like, girl, you're not going away. You're going to stay right here. And I just was like, I'm out of here. Y'all not paying enough.
I was like, no, you not. You ain't leaving me.
And so, y'all, not only did she give me the money, but when she left, she was like, I was like, girl, if you leave, get it together because I'm coming. And she called, was like, I'm ready. And y'all, this is the thing where you have to trust your intuition and your heart and your spirit, and God will never, ever, ever fail you. All of these things had to happen for my life right now to be what it is, because we was at a meeting one day and I met my husband because we was meeting about the school for another fundraiser.
Yeah.
So y'all, if I would have left that job then, we wouldn't have been at that meeting and I wouldn't be with my husband, right? And like all of these things, like y'all,
Reason.
Life is going to take you on some winding roads. Just keep the course. Keep the course. But most importantly, stay faithful and truthful and honest and with integrity to people who are the same with you. Those people, even when they don't have enough money, it was times we didn't even have enough money for our salaries. But guess what? We made it. We looked at Patty and was like, girl, you can't pay me. I'm out. Some of y'all won't stay on your job with the good person or the good supervisor or the good boss who sees something great in you because of the money. You know what I'm saying? Money is just a piece of paper that the government can make a lot of if they choose to. It's an illusion, y'all. And we put so much into it. Yes, we need it for survival. But what we really need is real authentic friendships. We need real authentic people. We need the people that God placed in our life for such a time as this and beyond. And what I'm going to say now is this: we're going to raise the money. But even if we don't, honey, your future is so bright. And I know that wherever you go, God is going to light that path and do what he's always done for you.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you. And I know you'll be right there, whatever it is, cheering me along.
Celebrating.
Celebrating and cheering along, yes. Because you've been a staple for many years. You and my brother, your husband, have been a staple in our life and have, really just been a blessing. I appreciate you all. I appreciate your family. Appreciate your family taking me in as, family. So, and I'm grateful that we've had this, like you said, sister relationship for many years, and it's not going anywhere. And I'm going to call you one day and say, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And I know you'll be like, yes, girl, get it. I know you can do it. And I feel the same for you.
So here's the deal. We don't talk often or all the time, but when we talk, it's a beautiful space that we have for each other and hold for each other. So I remember calling her saying, girl, I got my book. I wrote my book. And she was like, you wrote a book? I'm writing a book too. So we're both authors now.
Yes, we are.
I went back to school and I'm still working on, I think I'm finished my associates, girl. I don't know how I did that, but it just kind of happened. But I was like, I'm going back to get my associates. She was like, I'm going back to get my doctorate. So it's like, it's always been this, we're in the same place at the same time.
Yes.
The same thing.
We're in tune with one another.
Yes. We have no idea what's going on, but the minute that we're talking, it's like we're literally walking the same path. Yeah. So when she calls and she says, and she didn't even call, I think I called you to say, hold on, are we raising money for the school? Like, what we doing?
It's like, what's going on?
It's like, what are we doing? I said, what's the high number? What's the low number? What do we need immediately? But what do we really need? So some of y'all are my friends. Y'all receive the text. Some of y'all ain't pour into it, but I'm gonna send it out and I'm gonna keep sending it out until y'all give, okay? Because we're keeping the school alive. But again, even if God says this door closes, Ruth, the best is always yet to come when it comes to you. I love you so much. I appreciate your time talking to me today, sharing with us your journey.
Thank you.
What kind of inspiration can you leave us with?
Let me see what I would say. as you pretty much put it, never give up. I say that never give up. Like she said, when one door closes, a better one will open. Know that God has a plan for you, regardless of what your plan might be. His plan is always greater. Strive to make a difference. Like she said, money comes and go.
Mhm.
But when you build a heart, or you build a relationship, or you save a soul, or whatever you do, that will last a lifetime. That is eternal. That is eternal, and it makes a difference. So yes, I ask everyone to support who can, but those who can't, pray for us.
Yes.
Pray for us. Just pray for our journey, wherever it may go, because prayer is powerful. And I know that God has got it all in control. I thank you, my sister friend. And I know I'm gonna look up 3-6 months from now, and you're gonna have 1 million followers on Soulversation. Receive it, because it's gonna happen. And I'm gonna say, oh, I was one of the first people on that show, her show. So your journey is great. And I know that other book is coming.
Yes.
That other book is on its way, and I can't wait to read it. I thank you so much for always being there for us. Monroe will always love you as much as I love you.
I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.